All right, listen up. If you've ever wondered why some people chase big careers, nice watches, fancy dinners, and others chase chemistry, you're about to get the brutal science backed version. This is not moralizing, it's biology, culture, and market dynamics all mixing together. And if you want to win at modern dating, my friend, you need to know the rules. Welcome to PlantTheSpark. Let's break hypergamy down like a tactical playbook, baby. Hey. I'm Mike, your dating and relationship coach. On this channel, we use psychology, evolution, and a little bit of swagger to decode attraction. Today, hypergamy, baby. Hypergamy. And what this is the tendency to date up, right? Or choose mates of higher status. We'll go deep on the evolutionary roots, what men and women historically look for, and how modern culture rewired some of this. And we're going to give you some of the practical, macho-friendly tactics that you can use whether you're the hunter or the hunted. No fluff, just science. And a laugh or two. Hypergamy is a social term that literally means marrying up, matching with partners who have higher status, resources, education, or social position. And historically, it's been most discussed in relation to women marrying men of higher status. But the pattern has broader implications, really, for anyone engaged in mate selection. In daily speak, hypergamy looks like choosing partners who can level up your life financially. Gold digger! Socially, you might be that shy, quiet kind of person, and you want to level up your social game. Find a partner that does. And you might be also trying to level up culturally. That's the phenomenon we're unpacking today. And there's a lot of reasons why it's a really, really strong concept in dating and attraction. Now the heavy hitters. Evolution. Two bedrock theories explain why mate preferences differ by sex: parental investment theory and sexual strategies theory. Now, parental investment, first articulated by Robert Trivers. This basically just says that, sex invests more in offspring. And in humans, this is typically the female, right? They'll be more selective about mates because, reproduction carries a lot of biological cost for them, a much higher biological cost than for the men. That selectivity often favors partners who signal ability to invest resources or provide protection, right? I mean, how strong are you physically? Do you have a good job? Are you able to sort of make the person feel emotionally sort of stable? And then there's the sexual strategies theory. This is by Buss and Schmidt, and they really expand on that first strategy, right? And they basically say humans have evolved multiple mating strategies depending on short-term versus long-term goals. What's attractive in a one-night stand differs from what's attractive in a marriage candidate. Across many studies, women prioritize cues of resource availability, right? Long-term commitment, more of the long-term sort of context, I guess, right? Men, on the other hand, they're going to prioritize things like fertility, cues of fertility, right? And youth. And this is often signaled by physical attractiveness. Let's be honest. I mean, guys are shallow as hell, but we're not shallow because we're just shallow. We're shallow because evolution. Those are not rules that trap souls. They're psychological tendencies, right? These things evolved because they solved adaptive problems in our ancestral environments. But, as I talked about earlier, these things are actually sort of changing and showing up in a different sort of way in the modern context. But why do our brains actually still think it's the Stone Age? All right, let's go real deep here. Evolutionary Psychology 101. Here's the crazy part. Your brain, my brain, her brain, they're running on software that's 200,000 years old. We've got smartphones, crypto, Tesla. But up here, still hunting mammoths and trying not to get eaten. Now, evolutionary psychology basically says that our behaviors today are shaped by what helped our ancestors survive and reproduce. And when you look at it through that lens, hypergamy isn't some weird modern conspiracy, right? It's ancient biology doing its job. For women, reproduction was high stakes. Limited eggs, 9 months of pregnancy, years of childcare. So evolution rewarded, evolution rewarded being highly selective. It favored women who picked partners that could protect, could provide, and procreate with decent genes. That's not gold digging, that's adaptive strategy. For men, the evolutionary game was different, right? Men could, in theory, reproduce with as many partners as they want, so selection favored those who displayed status, right? Resources, dominance, signals that said, I can survive, I can provide, I'm valuable to the tribe. And that's why men still feel that pull to achieve, to climb, to compete. We're literally built to prove our worth. And women are biologically tuned to notice who's winning the game. So hypergamy isn't about women being shallow or men being power hungry, it's evolution playing matchmaker. And because our brains haven't updated since dial-up internet, we're still responding to these ancient cues. I mean, confidence signals safety. Competence signals survival. Status signals stability. Even smell plays a role. Women in studies have been shown to prefer the scent of men with a more symmetrical face and higher testosterone markers. Your deodorant commercial wasn't lying. So get some of that pit stick and stop smelling like a freaking caveman. Unless that's your thing. And then, smell like a caveman. If that's her thing, definitely smell like a caveman. But here's the twist. Our environment changed faster than our biology. We live in skyscrapers, not caves. Those primal drives, they clash with modern equality, dating apps, and global opportunity. Hypergamy today isn't just about wealth or power. It's also about emotional intelligence, social influence, ambition. In short, the instinct stayed, but the definition of value evolved. So when we talk about hypergamy, we're not blaming biology, we're decoding it. And that's what I want to do for you here on this channel, because we want to give you real practical steps on how to use hypergamy to attract that mate. When you understand the blueprint, you stop resenting the design and you start mastering the game. Don't fight nature. Upgrade it. So let's be concrete. Large-scale studies repeatedly find gender differences in stated mate preference. Women more often list status, ambition, resources as important for long-term partners. But don't get me wrong, guys. They don't want to look at an ugly mug. Now, men, they more often list physical attractiveness and youth. These patterns emerge in cross-cultural data, though the magnitude changes with culture, wealth, and equality. But super important caveat, preferences are context sensitive. When women have greater economic independence, the weight of resource seeking and mate choice can shift. Also, mating markets matter. Your personal bargaining hand depends on your traits and the market context. Now, some popular takes jump from this research to blanket moral claims like, women are only after money. That's oversimplified, and it's really inaccurate. Preferences are nuanced. They're influenced by culture, personal values, and individual differences. Evolutionary logic. If gestation and child rearing impose greater costs on females, selection favors females who pick mates likely to contribute resources, protection, or valuable genes. Yeah, it makes sense. Men who offer resources had a higher chance of offspring survival. Yeah, it makes sense. So, resource seeking makes it a favorable strategy for women. Men's reproductive payoff is maximized by mating with as many fertile partners as possible, historically leading to preferences for youth and indicators of health. Why? Context matters. Where parental investment was important, men valued partner loyalty more. But where resources were a little bit more abundant, right? It would probably favor the men to basically go out and seek as many dating partners as possible to increase their chances of keeping the species going, right? Now, these are tendencies, they're not destinies. They're like software that runs under the interface of modern life, sometimes helpful, sometimes glitchy. And so when you fast forward, modern economies, education, contraceptives, and changing gender roles have reshaped mating markets. Now, today, women often pursue education and careers, changing the dynamics of hypergamy, sometimes reversing it. Think men marrying down educationally, sometimes preserving it in different forms: status, culture, lifestyle. Now, research on assortative mating shows education and income increasingly pair up people with similar levels of education and income. Now, this looks like power couples, right? And it can appear hypergamic at the macro level. At the same time, social signaling, luxury goods, curated lifestyles, cultural capital, these all play a huge role. Hypergamy in the 21st century often means cultural and social elevation as much as raw income. In digital dating markets, status can be displayed via photos, bio, social proof, and that amplifies her hypergamic patterns because people can filter by signals quickly. And this is important. Evolutionary explanations get criticized. Critics point out cultural variation, the role of social structures, and the problem of the hindsight explanations. Some scholars stress that mate preferences are highly plastic and that social economic changes can change these patterns fairly rapidly. So we don't treat evolutionary stories as immutable law. We treat them as useful models that explain common patterns, and we couple them with cultural and economic data to avoid sloppy conclusions. All right, now what are some of the frontline tactics for dudes, right? For all the men out there, if you want to increase your position in the mating market, not manipulation, improvement, then you need to increase your resource signaling, career success, competence, social proof, ability to provide experiences, but make it authentic. Research shows status and resource cues matter. But let's not stop right there. And this is where it gets really interesting. You don't have to be a CEO. You don't have to make $1 billion, my friend. You don't have to be the strongest guy in the room, the most puffed up gym bra. Increase your own competence and confidence, leadership in your domain. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're a store manager. Be the best at that. Show competence. Be someone who invites people into their world in social situations. These are high value traits, right? Women love confidence. I mean, guys love confidence, but women value it more because of those hypergamic traits that we talked about a few minutes ago. Go in there with your shoulders back, your chin tilted slightly, right? Make eye contact, smile, own your space, my friend. And next, it does matter a bit, to glow up and to improve your health and physical appearance. Physical form and grooming still matter as signals of fitness. Now, again, this doesn't mean you need to be a supermodel, or this doesn't mean you need to blow up like Hulk Hogan or anything like that, right? Get to the gym, work out, and make yourself feel good about yourself. And the reason that this is so important, guys, and this is the secret, it's not about how you look. It's about how you feel after getting in the gym. It's about how you feel after you pump those weights, right? There's going to be an elevated spike in all those sort of body chemicals that make you feel good. Dopamine, and there's serotonin, norepinephrine, adrenaline's pumping, right? Next, cultivate some cultural capital, right? The ability to navigate interesting conversations, tastes, experiences. It moves you up the social ladder. You don't have to be rich, man, but you should probably know a little bit about wine, or maybe you know something about something else culturally interesting. I don't know, the newest cool podcast on psychology or attraction and dating, like PlantTheSpark. You know what I'm saying? Come on. You're in like Flynn, baby. Next, you want to be dependable and emotionally stable. right? Long-term mate value depends heavily on emotional reliability, the modern form of provider signal, right? Don't be a flake. Be consistent. Be consistent. Next, joke, innuendo, playfulness. Think of it as like upgrading from a hand-me-down pickup to a custom-built truck. Except the truck is you and the highway is dating. I mean, women love, in fact, they rate it as one of the top 3 things in surveys that they're attracted to, and that is a sense of humor and playfulness. Yeah, look, stoicism is great, right? It's good to sort of hold your ground and to show that you're a serious individual and things like that, but people want someone who's fun. Play, right? Playfulness. Make her laugh. Joke. When you go on a date, too many dudes are making it an interview, right? They're asking question after question. They're answering question after question. What's your favorite color? Where do you like to go eat? What's your favorite band? I mean, what is this garbage? What are we in freaking middle school? Like, are you going to send them a little note with the 3 boxes? Do you like me? Yes, no, maybe? No. That's ridiculous. For women, you have more agency than some pop takes admit. You want to date up? Consider signaling your own value through education, social networks, and lifestyle choices. We're in the new world. But also recognize your preferences as complex, right? Attraction, emotional warmth, humor, respect, these all matter. They all matter alongside those status signals. Career, independence shift, bargaining power in your favor. Level up, ladies. Don't feel boxed into one strategy. Your power is in choosing what mix of values matter to you. All right, a few quick scenarios to make this real. A mid-30s woman in booming career meets a confident, creative guy. She values status, right? But also emotional intelligence. She chooses emotional fit over raw income because long-term partnership matters. That's selective hypergamy modulated by priorities. And that's a very good example of the modern dating scene. Now, scenario B, a man in his 20s invests in skills and networking. His mate value rises, right? Just goes straight up because his competence and status signal increase. He can go to a dinner party and he doesn't make a fool of himself talking about stuff like attraction. That's market movement in action. All right, quick recap. Hypergamy mixes biology, culture, and market dynamics. Evolution explains tendencies. Modern economies and culture shape how they play out. Your best play? Improve your authentic mate value, competence, confidence, culture, and make choices that reflect your values, not panic. If you like this deep dive, smash the like, subscribe, and drop a comment. What's one area you're going to invest in, my friend, to level up today? Drop it in the comments. I promise I'll read it. Follow PlantTheSpark for daily micro tips. Now I'm Mike, and buddy, go make yourself legendary. Peace.